And now we get to jump into the wonderful world of figured bass notation. So we're going to be realizing the figured bass, which means we put in the other notes. They've given us the bass line. They've given us these inversion symbols, these weird numbers underneath here, to tell us what these chords are going to be. So we have to take our detective skills and figure out from those numbers what the chords are going to be. Something that will be really helpful for you is if you remember your inversion symbols. Okay, so I'm just going to write them up here so I have them. So for triads, root position is nothing. Okay, there's nothing underneath there. So for example, this chord, this chord, this chord, those are all root position triads. Okay, first inversion is a 6. Second inversion is a 6-4. Okay, so I see a 6 there. I don't see any 6-4s. So it looks like I'm dealing with one first inversion triad there. Then seventh chords are going to be root position is notated with a 7. First inversion 6-5. Second inversion 4-3. And third inversion, because we have 4 notes here, we can invert it 3 times, is a 4-2. Okay, so you'll see I've got a 4-2 there, and I've got a 6-5. So I've got a couple 7th chords going on here, right? This one here with just a sharp doesn't have any numbers. That's also a root position triad. Just that sharp deals with the third of the chord. So let's figure out what chords these are based on that knowledge. First chord is spelled for us. It's going to be root position, so I can just look at my bass and spell the chord from that as the root. The bass is a B, so spell a chord from a B is a B, D, F. Since this one's already written there, I can just check and make sure that's what I've got here. I've got a B, another B, a D, and an F. Okay, so that is a 1 chord, which is minor in the key of B minor. Okay, so the next chord is also a root position triad, because there's nothing underneath here, there's no numbers there. So that means it's a triad built on that bass note as the root, which is the 4th scale degree. I can just count from my tonic 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's the 4th scale degree. It's going to be a 4 chord in a minor key. A 4 is minor. And if I want to spell that underneath, that is an E, G, B. Okay, next chord is the 4-2, which we see over here is third inversion 7th chord. So third inversion means that 3 notes have been taken up above this bass note. Okay, so if I were to write this out, those 3 notes go underneath. That is an F, A, C, E chord. If I were to look at it based on these numbers underneath, the 4 and the 2, that means there's a 4th above the bass in this chord, which is the A, and the 2nd above the bass in this chord, which is the F sharp. Okay, the slash going through that 4 means to raise that pitch above the bass. So that pitch above the bass is that A. If I'm to raise it, then I need an A sharp. So this chord, as I said, was an F, A, C, E, has an A sharp in it. F, A sharp, C, E. F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, E. The F sharp and the C sharp are already in the key signature, so I'm going to write that, make sure I write the sharp on the A. Okay, now an F is a 5th above, as a 5th of this key, so this is a 5, 4, 2. which is a dominant seventh in third inversion. Okay, the 6 implies a first inversion triad. So if I did the same thing that I did over here, that means one note has been taken above the bass, so that's the B, and then one note above it is the F, a third below the bass and a third above the bass, complete that triad. So that's a B, D, F with the D in the bass. This one, sorry, had the E in the bass, I didn't circle that. So a BDF chord is a 1, first inversion, makes me put a 6 on it. Okay, and you'll notice that this E here, the 7th, the chordal 7th, needs to go down. That was in the bass. So if they did this correctly, they should have the bass note going to the D, which they do. Anytime you have a 5-4-2, it's going to need to go to a 1-6. So that that 7th can resolve correctly, that chordal 7th. Now my next chord is a 6-5, which I'm seeing is a first inversion 7th chord. So that means I've taken one note up above the bass. That's a C. And the 7th chord is going to give me 4 notes, so C, E, G, B, with none of them being altered. That means that I've got a 2-7, or a 2-6-5. In a minor key, a 2-7 is a half diminished 7 chord. So, sorry, that's not 7, that's a 2 half diminished 6-5. The next chord is a root position triad, but this sharp sign there applies to the third of the chord. So that's going to be an F, A sharp, C, which is in this key a 5, just a triad. And then the last chord is also a root position triad, starting on a G, so G, B, D, which in this key is a 6. Be careful, because if you're coming from a 5 to the last chord, you just a lot of times automatically think, oh, that's going to be a 1 chord. But every once in a while, you'll see a deceptive cadence. So that's a 5 to 6 deceptive cadence. Then all you have to do once you have that is go back and put in the upper voices, do all the voice leading. Make sure that you're checking your parallel motion, resolving your tendency tones correctly. So anytime I have an A sharp, it needs to go up. Anytime I have a chordal 7th, it needs to come down. Make sure I don't have to circle the bass notes so much because the bass line's already in there, but make sure you double the correct tones and have fun, because this is a lot of fun, I promise.